Hello, patrons, viewers, subs on YouTube, all the above. Welcome to Q&A number 2. Background music. We'll get to a question about that later on in the Q&A. We got a handful of questions here. First off, number 1. This is number 2 Q&A, but number 1, we missed December. It's kind of a crazy month. We were launching the show. We didn't do a Q&A, but we didn't really have much to say. We're still kind of figuring out the show and kind of ironing everything out. So it's fine now. We're in crew number 2. We've got a decent idea of kind of where we're headed, which is always good. I guess just to give you guys, I was looking over here because I was going to show some updates hardware-wise that we're kind of doing because of the show. But in terms of where we're at, everything is, upwards. Growth is occurring. I tweeted the other day, I think if you're following the Twitter account, you probably already saw it. But in general, the show is just doing nothing but growing. Each and every episode, we add a couple more subs, a couple more Twitter followers, viewership's continuing to grow per VOD. Patreon continuing to grow as well. Shout out to everyone that does support us over on Patreon. It's been fantastic. Both me and Bronze are always surprised to see this support over there month to month. A lot of people are using the annual pledge instead of the monthly pledge because I think it's like 10% off or something. We might do like sales around that maybe in the future because I think we can change that number. So maybe at the start of like crew 3, we do like a week where it's 16% off or whatever the max is instead of I think 10% off right now for the annual purchase. Something we're messing around with, still kind of figuring it out and going from there. So hardware wise, I want to show all this stuff off. So if you've watched the other 8 episodes or the 8 episodes that we currently have out, little by little, kind of the production aspect side of things has gotten a little bit better. I think this last episode, apart from some audio snafus with Bronze, things went pretty well, pretty good. You might see some like hiccups every once in a while on the cast camera. It took a little while, but we figured out what happened and what's going on. Essentially, there's a bandwidth cap on our network here at the studio. What that means is that, to summarize it and kind of move past it very quickly, the way that we route everyone's cameras to the different production PCs and whatnot, it's overloading our network. We have a gigabit network for any of the tech nerds out there. We're upgrading to a 10 gigabit network. So we'll have a bunch of overhead, and hopefully that should make everyone's camera not only less stuttery, but it should also bump everyone up to 1080-60. We got 2 of these cards that we're going to be putting in. These are 10 gigabit NICs that we'll put into the PCs. Then we got 10 gigabit router, which I'll install and all that stuff. Minor changes, a couple $100 that we're using from the Patreon to increase the network bandwidth. So hopefully everyone's camera, probably by next episode, I should have everything up and running, and camera should be looking a lot better, hopefully. 1080-60 is kind of the goal, everyone around 4,000 bit rate. I think I've been the thing that has been throttling everyone's connection. So we'll see. I hope that's the case. I haven't done any tests. I spoke with a handful of people and they seemed to say that that was the culprit. So we'll move forward with that and let you guys know. I think that's it hardware wise. We do have some other stuff. We are working with Drummer Boy, who you might know from kind of past things that we've done together. And he is actually making some music for us. I don't know if we're calling it a theme. I don't know if we're calling it like a hype song. It's music. It's so you don't have this at the start of a D&D show. This is what it sounds like. This is all very rough, very early, but I figured no better place to show it than here on kind of this Q&A. There's 2 different rough versions. We won't listen to the whole song since it's about 3 minutes long, but this is what we got so far, or what he's got so far. It's the bell, the last call, you know. Kind of like, like Johnny Quest vibes. I think it gets like serious here pretty soon. See? You got that little underlying fantasy vibe right there. It's good stuff. He's got about 3 minutes right now on this track. He'll be adding to it. Good. I like it. I like the percussion there. It's good stuff. Don't really know a timeline on that. I would think by the time Crew 2 finishes, we should be pretty close to debuting that, if not already debuting. I guess the theme, I'm not really sure what we're gonna call it there, but yeah. Shout outs to Drummer Boy, him and Bronze, been working on that for about a week and a half now, maybe 2 weeks. So it's coming along. You should start to see some other changes in terms of adding some smaller things, some more characters, some more life to the overlays for the show. We're gonna kind of progress forward on that as Crew 2 goes out and goes forward. I don't know why I'm talking with my hands, but here we are. I think also for episode 2 for Crew 2, we're going to stick to the 3 cast members. Then probably episode 3, we will bring in a guest, whether that's me or Jesse or someone else. We're not really sure. We're still figuring that out, but we'll let you guys know. Or we won't, and it'll just be a surprise when it happens in the episode. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards. But apart from all that, I think those are kind of like, in general, the updates that I have. I didn't mention it in the start, but I do want to give a huge shout out to everyone over in the Discord. You guys are keeping the conversation alive. Cast members interacting with folks there. Saw a lot of people talking to Dodger about her character scores. Saber Runner in the chat had a interesting stat. If you add up all of Dodger's stat scores for her character, she sits at 66. Max's are at 73. DJ Wheat's rolls on Lord Wyman are currently sitting at a 93. A 93. It's kind of incredible, the fact that Wheat rolled that well. And stat-wise, there's a 27, I think, is how that math works out. Stat difference between Dodger and Wheat's character. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. Some other stuff going on in the Discord. If you weren't already aware, we do have show discussions for every episode so far. I'm going to be joining in those discussions now that I'm not on the show in Discord. We're kind of also figuring out a way to have a combination of everyone's chat so that when these shows are live, there's a little bit more of like a communal aspect to it. And then if we can somehow figure out how to bring that into VODs, then we will also bring that up on YouTube and have like a, lastcallforadventure.com/chat or something like that. Nothing to announce, but just kind of ideas that we're kicking around with all of that. Oh, and then I have to give a huge shout out to fan art. The fan art is absolutely awesome. We have some stuff here that we'll share. We're probably going to start doing this pretty soon on the actual show during breaks with all the fan art here. Let me see if we're good to go. I wasn't prepped to show fan art, but I want to now. Let's do this and do this and make this a little bit bigger and put me down here in the corner. That looks great. We've got Marin riding a pony. This is from Clint J. Just some absolutely awesome fan art right there. Incredible stuff. Big fan of that. We've also got Arner, who did some H2O hydrate. It's going to be kind of small here, but looks like this. You know? Dodgers character there. Swole and hydrated. We also have this one, also from Clint, of Blibble's character. Or Max's character named Blibble. Absolutely incredible art there. Can't wait to start showing this stuff off during the break screens. But if you want to go check all that stuff out, you can go over to discord.gg/lastcall4adventure. A lot of fan art. Huge shout out to everyone who's doing that. Keep creating, keep promoting that stuff, throwing it up in the Discord. We really do love seeing all that stuff. And we're going to be utilizing it in the broadcast during the opening as well as breaks moving forward. Let's do some Q&A. Also, I think probably in the future, I would say much further down the line, we'll eventually get some sort of graphics for this Q&A. Maybe even a way to like pop up the questions somewhere on the screen. That would be kind of cool. I don't know who submitted these questions because I didn't collect usernames, but that's fine because we'll just answer them anonymously, which is great. Question number 1. We got a lot of questions about this. You know, it makes sense. They said, is it possible to make a separate YouTube video with people's questions / your view of the OGL? And is it possible in the future merch from old campaigns will be able to buy, or would be that too much legal since other deals are probably made with those merch? Easy question on the second part. Absolutely not. That was a different show, different company. All that stuff is gone merch wise. So none of that merch will ever re-exist, unfortunately. First question though, is it possible to make a separate YouTube video with people's questions / your view of the OGL? Yes, but I feel like at this point, the OGL's kind of been talked to death for most points of the internet. I don't really have anything extra to add to that conversation. I think initially we were kind of in like a wait and see pattern. I think now we're just kind of like, okay, Wizards, sure, do what you want. We have a couple of VODs, I think, on Twitch. Nothing really dramatic or extravagant, where there's a little bit of a discussion. I think there's a highlight for it. I'll try to find that, maybe put it in the description. But yeah, general thoughts on the OGL, like Wizards, WotC really messed up out of the gate. They've kind of rescinded all that. They've backtracked. They put out some stuff that is like, okay, it's kind of there. But the next 2 weeks for people to submit changes and things they want to show up or they want to see show up in the OGL, I think will hopefully make a better legal document and a better thing, moving forward. So those are kind of the quick thoughts. At one point, we have some other questions regarding it. And maybe I should just move on with those rather than kind of answer them. But will I make a separate video on it? Probably not until the actual OGL comes out. OGL 1.2, whatever they're going to call it. And even then, maybe not. I'm not a lawyer, so I can only kind of interpret what lawyers are saying about it. I have not had my own lawyer look at any of it because it's such a rapidly changing document. It's a draft, it's not a draft, and blah, 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 blah. So I don't really have any of those type of thoughts on it, but I have been keeping up with the conversation in terms of what the industry is looking at and what people from the industry are discussing about it. And hopefully some of those changes that people are weighing in on right now through their survey, I think that Wizards just released, will get them to change the OGL in general, and we get a better document out of it, and we can kind of move forward. But I think a lot of goodwill was lost from WotC, and I think that's going to take some time to get back from the community. Meanwhile, Paizo and Pathfinder are kind of crushing it right now. They did everything right, whereas I think Wizards did everything wrong in that situation. So we'll see what happens with the industry at large moving forward. Second question. Using Legal Eagles video as context, are you still foreseeing legal issues with using 5e or only ethical ones? I think ethical ones at this point, again, the document's still being formed and community input is now crucial to it. But I'm not as worried as I was, I think, initially. And I think, the Legal Eagles video is now a little bit outdated because of what the Wizards has said this past week with their documentation and their post. But it's fine right now. We're going to kind of continue operating as business as usual and make a decision once that comes out, which I don't think it'll be a drastic decision. That said, I mean, I got to move some stuff on my desk. But both Bronze and I did snag a second edition Pathfinder book, which kind of cool, I gotta say. It's a rather interesting thing, especially with all the classes there. That kind of like it. If doing tabletop shows wasn't, how do I want to phrase this? The biggest hurdle a lot of times for tabletop shows are rules and rule sets. No one wants to see someone counting how much proficiency bonus you have on a roll. They rather want to see what happens when you roll and how you acted out as a character. So, will we ever do Pathfinder 2e? I don't know. Right now we're kind of doing D&D and keeping that as light as possible because I think it does get in the way of kind of telling stories. But we've done stuff in the past where there were absolutely no rules and we were just BSing our way through a campaign, and those were some of our more popular shows back in the day. So we will see. It's still kind of a wait and hold, wait and see type approach. So third question of the day. Will there be a hype song made for an intro? I think the previous hype song that the user's probably referencing was made kind of purely coincidentally. It wasn't planned. It was actually a community-made thing when it was first introduced. So from my point of view, that's not something that I want to try and recreate, and would rather just have something be created in general and go from there. But in a perfect world, yeah, absolutely. But I think a lot of times that stuff is hard to nail down when you're trying to create it, if that makes sense. But yeah, hopefully you caught the beginning of the episode or the beginning of the Q&A when we talked a little bit about Drummer Boy's song that he's making for us. So, and I'm sure that'll be the first of many moving forward. Next question, how likely is it you change the system? Kind of talked about that as well, but percentage-wise, if you want to tie a percentage to it, I would say low. Like I said, systems kind of get in the way a lot of times when it comes to doing tabletop shows. But that said, I think Pathfinder 2e looks really cool. All of the different classes and things look fun, especially as someone that's played D&D for 10 years now. There's always other things out there, and we'll see if we ever get to that. So thank you for the question, and thanks to everyone else as well for all the questions submitted, if I don't say that again. Suppose you do move systems from 5th edition. Do you have any ideas on how that might change, how that change might occur for the characters? I think if we were to change systems, we would have to sit down on kind of a character by character basis and see what makes the most sense. And also get the players involved as well. I think for me, Dove probably would not be a bard. I think for max. There's a lot of options. There's not really a straight up warlock, I don't think, in Pathfinder, but there are similar options. And it would really just be, case by case. I think it'd be fun. Do I think it's the best way to do that? Best path for the show to do that at the moment? No, but I think it would be the type of thing where we kind of take a week. Sorry. We take a week and just sit down with everyone and figure out characters, most likely. So that would kind of be how we handle that. Next question. Having Last Call for Adventure as my first D&D experience, I enjoy the dynamic of Crew 1 very much, and I was wondering if every crew from now on until the future is just a one-and-done crew, or will we see Crew 1 and the future crews back together? I don't know. I don't think it's out of the question to say that we revisit future crews, but I think, the fun part of the show is that characters are always changing. While Crew 2 is in full effect right now, the rest of our characters are still interacting in that world, just kind of off screen. So the tannery that, I came into possession of is having something done to it. What is that? I don't know. But I think that's always the fun aspect, is there's, growth is always occurring whether you see it or not. And if we hit Crew 10, for example, just pull a number out, maybe we bring Crew 1 back together. Or maybe it's Crew 1 with someone replaced, Maybe they die in a different crew. Who could say? But I don't think everything's set in stone. We're very much kind of a fluid production in that sense. And the goal is to create fun crews where everyone's interested in interacting with one another and have those interactions be tried and true and tested ones that we, know will work, or at least have the best guess that it's going to work. So maybe, I think, is the answer there. We'll just have to kind of see. Next question. Is there a way how to unintrusively, aka without being a pain in the backside know-it-all, point out that things are not according to rules and have not been established as DM allowed changes? So, not talking about Turtle AC, but for example, the Tales from Beyond feature. I'm not sure what is going on with Tales from Beyond, but I think the Discord is a perfect place for that. We just had some stuff happen, or a conversation happen after the fact, after the show, because during the show is the worst possible place, and I think you kind of recognize that, so your head's in the right spot. But Dodger, for example, had a discussion with some chatters regarding her AC and the unarmored defense. And it was actually fixed during the show, but the graphics did not update. So that's generally the best place, is hop on the Discord, tag someone, staff member, Discord team member, maybe even the crew member, and just, let us know what we're doing wrong. Might not get a response, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't read. And if, best case scenario, it is read, we make the change and we kind of move forward. Worst case scenario, you submit the thing, we don't respond to you, and things happen behind the scenes, and it's better for it. Right? So you might not always get a response, but if I see it, I will make sure that it at least gets in front of the right eyes. We might just not have an answer right away for you. So I'm very curious, though, about the Tales from Beyond feature. Let me know. If I'm doing it wrong, please, by all means. We might even make like a Discord channel. Someone in chat, Theoden, just kind of suggested that. I would say now the general channel's fine, but we might make like a rules lawyer channel. I just don't want it to get out of hand, is the only thing. And I think, your head's in the right spot when it comes to submitting away. You don't want to be, as you said, pain in the backside know-it-all. but you want to help the show out and help us out. So I would say, yeah, get at us in Discord, and if that resonates well with people, then maybe we'll make a specific channel for it. Next question. Why don't you use background music without copyright? Feels empty with the silence. There's a lot of reasons why. I think the biggest reason is just having the library of music to create whatever the vibe, ambiance, situation is. For example, Q&A, this background music works pretty good. It's upbeat. It's non-intrusive. It makes sense. But if we're in a cave fighting a wizard and this is playing, sounds a little strange. So it's a lot. It's more about having the right resources for it, being comfortable with utilizing said resources. That is, having contracts in place and all that stuff, and making sure it makes sense. So now that I'm not on the show, I think that's easier said than done. If I have like a giant library, and I know a lot of this stuff kind of exists out there, but it's always been a hassle in the past to do it, so we've never done it. But maybe this is the time where it makes sense. This person who submitted this question, by the way, had a pretty good idea about feedback. And I said this wouldn't be shared, but I'm going to share it because there's no name attached to it, and it's a pretty good idea. They said, re-release the paid content a week after. There's fun stuff, or they are fun stuff, and people are missing out simply because of money. I kind of like that idea. I was thinking that, I'm not announcing this, but it's kind of an idea, that maybe after every crew is finished, all of the post-show episodes then become public or something like that. Or like a week after the show airs, maybe the post-show goes live, and we bring that into the MP3 feed. I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely a good idea, though. That content is kind of evergreen, and re-releasing it to get more eyes on it when kind of the people that paid for it got it first. I like that. It makes sense. It's a good idea, and definitely something I think we'll probably utilize in the future. Next question. Thank you, by the way, for both the question and the idea. Good stuff. Question is, do you think we might see more than one group at the same time at some point? Perhaps a switch of the DM to give Bronze a break. I love that you lot are doing tabletop RPGs again, and I just want more. As the greedy person that I am, keep up the great work. As of right now, no. Bronze is the only DM that's under contract with us, but that's not to say, we both, between Bronze and I, we have a ton of friends out there that DM, and maybe somewhere down the line, if the world's established and Bronze and I can, I think at that point it comes down to trust as well as guidelines for kind of creating within the world. And so if we could garner said trust as well as have guidelines for that stuff, so we don't, create someone's big bad evil guy, whatever, then that would make sense. I think one issue that does come up with that is comparison comes into play, and people start to kind of foster opinions, and we've seen in the past, at least I've seen in the past, get combative about their opinions, and I really don't want to read XDM versus XDM or YDM conversation. That's not something I'm super interested in. I think it's a boring conversation, and that in itself is destructive to kind of what we're trying to do rather than constructive. So at this point, no, but it's not to say, you know, a year from now, 6 months from now, that my mind doesn't change on that. But doesn't really change or add anything to it apart from just more content. And right now I'm happy with the content that we're putting out. So, 1 second, I got a cough. Excellent show so far, says the next question. Thank you. How are you enjoying the world, building the world alongside Bronze? It's been a lot of fun. Bronze is a really, really good world builder, as well as a great NPC creator. And so I think those two things have been a lot of fun kind of moving forward. And the vibes between Crew 1 and Crew 2 are wildly different in terms of the goals and kind of adventuring. And I'm enjoying that a lot. Like, I actually I watched live the episode 1 Crew 2 when that debuted. I actually rewatched about 90 minutes of it last night. I'll probably finish it up. And I thought it was a lot of fun getting to see different aspects of the world. And yeah, I'm kind of curious to see where it goes. So enjoying that aspect a lot. Is there anything in particular you really want to see pay off down the line with future groups? I want things to be created that people come upon and are completely bewildered as to why said thing exists. Perfect example is kind of this like corpse flower thing that Jesse created in the forest. Would love to see another crew stumble upon that and just be like, why does this exist? Is this an evil thing? What is this? Whereas like for Jesse, it was a complete whatever. It was just like a random thing that he threw out there. That type of stuff I'm very interested in seeing. I also just like want to see characters interact that have not interacted with before. I'm excited to interact with Wheat and Dodger. I have ideas for what that looks like and how I would handle that. And I want to see Jesse interact with them as well as Ann. So we will try to, figure that out, make it make sense. Thank you for the question. I'm just reading chat real quick. I got you, Terra Trooper. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. I'll read what they said rather than just respond to it in the video. They said a situation of crew against crew, not totally in the physical way, like a race or competition, could be interesting. Yeah. I think that stuff could exist in the future. I just don't. So it's really up to Bronze kind of to know what it looks like. Man, I'm losing my voice. Too much talking today. 2 more questions. We got, will there be other games under Last Call for Adventure, Umbrella, and or GMs? At this point, no. We're focusing kind of on the main campaign. But like I said, 2 or 3 years from now, or even a year from now, we'll see. We'll see what makes sense. I think the last thing, if we do anything, it would probably be all within the same world. That would be my own goal, to kind of continue building upon that world, and got to make sense for the show and also for Bronze at that point. But still early days. We're nowhere near kind of being ready to spread out in that regard. So it's a meme question. Great. What are the chances of an IKEA existing in the Last Call for Adventure world? 0. Absolutely none. None whatsoever. Now we could invite one IKEA manager / demigod onto the show. I don't know if Bronze is ready for that though. That might be something down the line. Could be fun though. Could be a fun crew member. You got to have the thing with casting Krendor in a show. You have to have someone who knows Krendor and can kind of wrangle him. Like if you put Krendor in there with 2 to 3 other people that have never interacted with them, I don't know. It might be too much. It might be too hot. It's spicy. Could be fun though. It's also kind of fun to see how Bronze would handle that. I should stop talking because it's immediately going to get people excited for something that not going to happen for a while if it does. So I think I'm going to stop there and also save my voice. I don't think there's really any other like big announcements right now that we're ready to share, but Crew 2 just getting started, and we'll start talking about Crew 3 kind of as Crew 2 starts to wind down. But yeah, just a huge thanks. We'll start to get more normal about doing these Q&As. This one was kind of spur of the moment type deal. Wanted to try to get it knocked out this week rather than wait and kind of delay Q&As even more. I do want to bring in other people for these moving forward. I think I said that for the first one, but just couldn't figure it out schedule-wise and timing-wise for this time. So I think that's that. Feel free to post comments over on YouTube. We'll definitely read them and take any feedback there. Thanks, everyone, for the feedback within this Q&A, as well as answering the other question about Pathfinder. Really do appreciate that. Definitely going to take a lot of those to the cast and crew and discuss all that stuff. But as for this Q&A, it's done. It's over. Thank you so much. We'll see you for episode 2, crew number 2, this coming Wednesday for another episode. All right. Thank you so much. Oh, and also shout out to everyone listening to the podcast. Actually, here's an ask. If you do listen to the podcast, the audio version of the show, and you are not using the Patreon MP3, let me know how the ads are. We do have ads, and I haven't really had any negative feedback about them so far. So if you listen to any of that, let me know. I'm curious. We've had a couple of people say that the ads exist, and they're fine. But just kind of curious what type of ads you're getting, how long they are, if you enjoy them, if you hate them, if you're fine with it, whatever. Let me know in the comments. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.